Welcome into a special preview of the ACC Championship Game. I'm Callum, Bohn, joined by Conwell and Emmett Kliger. We're here outside of the Rotunda at the University of Virginia to preview this game. This is who you got. First off, guys, we have to talk about the Commonwealth Clash from this past weekend. It was all sunshine and rainbows for Virginia. Emmett, what's your biggest takeaway?
I think if you told me that Daniel Callum would be playing in the fourth quarter for the Hoos against Tech at the beginning of the year, I would have thought something went majorly wrong. Obviously, that wasn't the case. UVA was in control the entire game. Chandler Morris looked good. Jamari Taylor looked good. The defense especially looked good. They were able to stop Kyron Drones, which was a worry of mine. Looking back, he couldn't really throw. Not really a dual threat in that sense, kind of a singular threat of running the football. And so, all sunshine and rainbows, as you said.
Conwell?
Yeah, I totally agree. I honestly think UVA didn't even play their best football. I think there were times where we failed to get chunk plays. Jamari Taylor and Chandler Morris often bailed us out. We were able to get enough down the field to score points, but it wasn't necessarily a star-studded performance for UVA. So I'm excited for them to take another step forward against Duke. I think they have the skills to do it, but like you said, it was great to see Virginia Tech go down at Scott Stadium. We rushed the field again, which there was debate over whether that was corny or appropriate. But I honestly think the players initiated it because some of them started running onto the hill. So anyways, we ended up on the field.
And they didn't get fined for it.
And they didn't get fined. It was a great evening.
It was ethical. Now turning to the ACC Championship Game this Saturday night in Charlotte. It's Virginia versus Duke, a rematch of just a few short weeks ago where Virginia had a pretty resounding win in Durham. For this rematch, though, Emmett, who's a player that you're looking out for?
I don't want to sound cliche at this point, but I think the two you have to say are Jamari Taylor and Chandler Morris. Jamari Taylor, in the Duke game, he had a great game. I think he had almost 100 yards on the ground. And that really opens up the rest of the playbook to get other guys going. You're able to feed Sage Ennis. You're able to scheme guys open if the run game is working, which it was with Jamari Taylor in Durham. So I think he's a big key. Got to get the run game going, and that will open up things for Chandler Morris in the play action, stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you picked a couple good ones there. But I would say generally I'm going to be paying attention to the receiver core. I thought that they had a quieter game against Virginia Tech. It was sort of reception by committee. I think it'd be interesting to see Trell Harris get involved again. He had 160 yards against Duke 2 weeks ago. I really just want to see them stretch the field. I mean, Jamari Taylor's talented, but it's easier for him if they're worried about passes, 10, 20 yards down the field. And so I think Chandler Morris has, the arm strength, the accuracy, and the receivers to move the ball in chunk plays. And I think it'd be nice to put, a couple 10 digits on Duke, maybe get a good seed for the playoffs. I mean, we've got a lot of football ahead of us.
I mean, they talk a lot about style points. That's been a big phrase of the year in college football. How do you win with style, and how much that means to this college football playoff committee having those style points? If the win from a couple weeks ago in Durham was the ACC Championship Game, that was a win with style. They really dominated the Blue Devils. I think they have the opportunity to play even better. It was really not a perfect game from Virginia. They haven't played 60 perfect minutes all season. Obviously, that's very hard. But I think the recipe for victory is the same as it was in that game. Jamari Taylor went off over 100 yards. He had that big 70-yard scamper. And Trell Harris had that 160-yard performance that you mentioned. These are the big weapons of this offense, and they're going to be dangerous in Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about style points. It's something UVA has struggled with throughout the season. We had a number of overtime victories over sometimes not so touted opponents. And so I think a statement victory against Duke plays well for us. I don't know if people realize this, but there are no conference bids for the playoffs. The assumption is that the winner of the ACC Championship, if it's UVA, could qualify. I doubt Duke could qualify. But we don't have it necessarily affirmed that if we win in Charlotte, we make it to the playoffs. We hope so, but they need to win in style, demonstrate that they're one of the best 12 teams in the country.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to push back a little bit. I think if UVA wins, they are pretty much guaranteed to go to the playoff. The way that it works is it's the 5 best conference champions. And so UVA, I think, does beat out an AAC or an American conference winner. Duke, on the other hand, I do agree if they win, they're not going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah. No, it's a combination of things, but there's no ACC championship
Yeah.
slot waiting for Virginia. And I think if they beat Duke, they've got a good shot. But maybe they climb a couple spots if they win big.
Yeah, I think seeding does absolutely matter. It's the difference between playing, a team like Ole Miss, which has a lot of talent, but obviously with all of the coaching, chaos of the last week with Lane Kiffin, that might be a team that you might want to look to play in that first round going into Oxford, maybe instead of going into, Oklahoma or something like that, which might be a tougher opponent with their coaching staff still intact.
All right, potentially for the last time this season, let's make our picks. Emmett, who you got?
I got Virginia. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it does rhyme. I think that UVA is a better football team than the Blue Devils. I think they'll be able to take care of business down in Charlotte. I think they go to the college football playoff. Let's give it 35-28.
Conwell.
I agree. I think the Cavaliers are going to take care of business. I'm going to give a pick that's sort of more hopeful than, analytic, but I think the Hoos take it 40-27. I hope that the offense clicks. Chandler Morris can find some guys deep downfield early. I think that if we get going, it's hard to stop us. And I like our chances in Charlotte. I think UVA is going to travel better than Duke. I know they're close, but it's a bunch of dorks in Durham,
Yeah, totally. I'm with you guys. I think Virginia is going to win with these style points that we were talking about. I'm going to take the Hoos 32-17, similar score to the matchup from a few weeks ago. But I don't think Darian Mensah and the Blue Devil offense has what it takes to keep up with the Hoos this year. It's been their best season in maybe our entire lifetime, and hopefully they continue on to the college football playoff. But for now, I'm Callum Bohn.
I'm Conwell Morris.
I'm Emmett Kliger, WUVA.